I'm just curious, is there any sort of maintenance plan going forward? I know you've talked a lot about the minutes in terms of the number you're able to consume.
Just an awareness, you know, like Joel's maintenance plan is gut feel. It's collaboration with him and listening to how he's feeling his body. It's with the medical staff on what we're seeing with the data as far as loading goes. You know, the available information that we have on these guys nowadays is off the charts. And so you go with all of the things that I have just said, and then you form an opinion of what that looks like in relation to playing him and just monitoring what's coming up.
So are minutes no longer like you're saying loading and all that stuff? I'm curious in terms of the chart. It's like, we talk about minutes. Is that something that's not as important?
I mean, it's always on my mind is 32 to 34. Like in a perfect world, that's what I'd like to live in. Sometimes that doesn't happen, you know, because you're trying to win a game. But for the most part, you try to live in those within those parameters, 32, 34.
Brett, is it like a tough situation for you, being as though you know he wants to play? I mean, we talk about the previous years, but then also it's like, hey, big fella, we have the playoffs, and we don't want to wear you out. We don't want to, you know, get you susceptible to injury.
It isn't difficult for me to look at him and to tell him this is why we're doing it. It's really not, and it's just a part of my job. I smile inside because I just love how competitive he is and how much he wants to play. But I've lived this a lot, you know, about how do you sort of deliver somebody to May and June. And I've said 1,000 times, that to me is my greatest responsibility. You know, in Minnesota, Jimmy was played a lot of minutes, and, you know, I am trying to you know, work with him too to have the same type of end result with how do you make sure they're healthy and as fresh as they can be when it matters most.
So how's Jimmy been? Has he been receptive to that?
He's
Like
been great.
Yeah.
He's been great. You know, he's been great. And it's not like this thing we're talking about is ever present in every team I've ever coached or been a part of. Players want to play. And coaches, you know, have to manage that. And lots of times management comes with education, you know, and just knowledge of what's really going on and why. And with the information you have available, and, you know, you can go to somebody and say, you know what, like we get to 23 games faster than any team in the NBA. We had 5 back-to-backs. We've had 4 overtime games. We were in China. You know, like there's real information there. And like now, how do we manage it going forward? Because I see this period here as an opportunity where we are here at home. We're not, you know, on planes all the time. And how you handle days like today matters. Days like today can add up if you have a honest, committed effort of things that can make us better. It doesn't mean we're all taped and running around hitting each other. It's just, and they were great today. I want everybody to write that. Our team was great today. They were professional. They dug in. We had a team breakfast that we do once a month. Jonah Bolden spoke to us about artificial intelligence. And we came down here and had a professional, productive day. And so, like, that's a long-winded answer of how you sell these types of things to Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, whomever. To me, it comes with factual bits that can better help me accomplish what I need to accomplish.
What did y'all do today down here on the floor?
Just defensive rotations. Talked about how do you guard the Washington Wizards. You know, you got their 2 centers really are out, so they end up, and this is our sport, they end up 5 out. It's, you know, one of the Morris, you know, like the Morris is going to be the 5-man. And so you end up, you know, how do you guard 5 out with 7'2" Joel Embiid? And it's a small ball type of game. And so going through that environment of how do we defend that? Going over to the other court as that's going on and going through the detail of sideline out of bounds execution. What do you do? And I've said candidly to everybody that, you know, I don't feel entirely equipped right now to say, oh, here we are. Not at all. Like there's still holes and growth, just normal to be expected growth with Jimmy. and tighten some things up there, and delivering some sort of expectations for the next week. Those things. That's what we did today.
When you talk about that great professional practice, do you get the sense that your guys and your program are maturing from what they've been in the past?
I feel we've always been on this notion of what do you do with the rapid pace of an NBA game? How do you best manage days like today? And back in the day when we had those young guys who were just fighting for their lives and wanted to have a job, we went like I was coaching Duke, right? We went all day, every day. And now as you start coaching older players and JJ and Jimmy Butler and managing Joel, it's just not smart. It feels macho, but it's just not smart. And so I think this is modern day NBA coaching, where you got to figure out how do you still bang out good days where they will add up. You're on the path of improvement. And days like today was fantastic. Previous days we managed it based on the personnel and the nature of where we were at with the type of players that we had.
Brett, did you always see, it seems like from the naked eye, at least Wilson's been pretty effective making some entry passes within the last week. Is that something that's like kind of evolved organically? Did you see him originally as being able to be effective in that
when you study him, you actually did. And it's true, like he's hooked up on some entry passes, whether it's finding Ben or Joe or even sideline out of bounds execution. He's done a good job of that. Funny enough, when you really take a deeper dive and you look at other analytics on Wilson, look at what he does in a pick and roll with the ball. Like, none of us would have thought that, right? And so you might see us, from time to time, we did it once last night, give him a pick and give him the ball and like have Joe play out of that environment. And so he's a versatile player, entries, pick and roll, make a shot, tough, and he's prideful, he cares. You can see on his face when he makes a mistake, it bothers him. I respect him immensely. Like, he really has been a tremendous teammate and a caring pro.
What's your evaluation been on Ben's post-up game and how it's evolved?
Well, I think that out of our structure, because we play out of an open post, the ability to go find the rim and judge who is guarding you has always been there. I think, like anything, when you find success, you're going to try to get to that environment more often. That is what I've seen. I'm seeing him, find that environment more often. We have a play that we run that gets him there on purpose. There are reads that are always available to him, but that mentality of finding the rim, and I'm always on him trying to get to the line 8 to 10 times. At LSU, he shot 9 free throws a game. And that's one of my judgment goals of a mindset, a mentality. And I think that he's achieving that. And I thought it was excellent last night with his deep seals and, truly wanting the ball. At 6'10", he's really hard to guard on the move and then finding the face of the rim. And our guys are starting to understand how to find him.
Speaking of the free throws, have there been like a noticeable improvement for you during his evaluation so far?
I think so. I think his brother's done a great job. I don't know, I'm assuming most of you know this, but Liam Tribe, his brother has spent the summer with him, and when it permits, comes in to this building, and we connect with Liam fantastically. I coached Liam when he was 4 years old. That's the truth, or maybe 6 years old. So I've known Liam for a long, long time. And, for him to connect with our video room and our analytics department, so it's sort of a collaborative Team Ben type approach. I think Liam's been great on helping him with his free throws, and we're seeing incrementally his percentages rise. And soon, I expect him to get to 70, 72, and ultimately I think we're going to look back at him and he'll hover around a 75% free throw shooter, and that would be a good day.
Your admiration for J.J. Redick is well documented. When you talk about the progression of the program and how far it's come, how important was the acquisition of him before last season and the retaining of him leading into this season?
So just everybody just look behind you for a second, and I mean this. So practice has been over for 20 minutes. JJ Redick is out there, you know, going through some rotations, questions, and look at him, look at his body language, and like he's in the game, like he's all over the place. He jumps into life, he jumps into the game. He's prideful, and he's highly competitive, and he wants to get stuff right. And so to have that example in front of all of our guys, and you know, coaches, we all got to be on point. Put a price tag on that. You know, there isn't one, and that's just who he is.
Second year now with JJ, how much does that open up or give JJ even more opportunities?
I think it does. You know, like the focus obviously changes a little bit about who their targets are. You know, previously people went hard obviously at JJ and Joel, and you know, schemed up on how to guard Ben, especially in transition offense. I think to have another player like Jimmy that will command a scouting report, command attention, I think that it does help free him up for really sort of ripple effect reasons of just areas of focus that you'd expect somebody to place like in a shoot around or a scouting report. They got to go a little bit broader nowadays once you have somebody like Jimmy.
We were talking about Wilson's entry pass earlier. It seems like Mike, too, you've gotten that high low to Joel a lot. Has that been something that you guys have worked on?
Yes, and we need to keep going because, as we've said, you know, maybe when it becomes a half-court game, our most important offense is what do you do after Joel has the ball? And we're getting pretty good at the proper spacing, and do you slash behind blind defensive players? If Joel has and he's, you know, ball to chin, tuck it in stuff that we learned in 8th grade, and he's surveying over his left shoulder that I call it the down block as we're looking at it, that left block, where he's got his right hand either for jump hook or to pass. He's starting to be really comfortable about knowing where floor spots are. And when you get to floor spots, lots of defensive players turn and stare at Joel. We call those people blind defensive players. They're blind defenders. And so how do you punish that and back cut that? I think that we're getting better at that. This thing that you're talking about is when they don't let Joel have the ball and they sit on his thigh and they front the post. That action behind it where you can almost invite it. And here comes, you know, Mike Muscala, and here comes Wilson Chandler for, you know, high-low quick stuff. We're getting better at that, and we need to. You know, whether he has the ball or he just isn't able to receive it because of what I just said, that environment is as important as any half-court offense as we have.
A couple more guys?